Welcome to the Walker Talkers. Come, my children. Looks like she got a chunk out of her foot there.
I think someone needs a pedicure.
Yeah, no shit, man. Why don't you paint her feet toenails instead of those trash? Oh, here she comes. She's gonna play no time.
This is something that a lot of diehard apocalyptic zombie movie fans were waiting for. Like, how to dispose. Oh, look at him. There goes some CG action. They go from like real actors zombified to like some CG.
It's a really good mix of practical
Oh, there goes the face.
Her face too.
The fact that she watches like almost all of it, especially the people being
even to the dog food.
Oh, Albu.
Oh god.
Did they even make Albu?
Chunky monkey. Welcome to the Walker Talkers, brought to you by PanNerdia. I'm Aaron.
I'm Pete, and we're ready for episode 1.
Oh yeah. But first, let's discuss that episode 10 that happened last Sunday.
Let's do
quite
that.
the episode, man. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the whole like Carl thing is going to linger the rest of that few episodes. But Rick and Michonne, they were clearing some walkers out. Saw some pretty good walker gut action at the gate. And then Michonne saw the gazebo that Carl loved.
That fucking the fucking walker's face getting ripped off.
Yes.
Oh god, we have a picture of that later.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys. But if you don't remember, but man, that's another good example of those practical effects that just make The Walking Dead, dude.
Quite delightful.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and then so then the gazebo scene. I was actually kind of confused by that. I remember asking you during while we watched it. I was like, wait, why is this like a place Carl went or something? I don't remember Carl going to the gazebo.
I do.
Okay.
Especially when they first were there and the current leader, what's her name, the lady?
Oh yeah, I forget her name.
She was in charge and everything like that. Like he would go to the gazebo and hang out there with Judith and stuff like that. Especially when Carl really didn't have any like big scenes when things were going on. You know, that was one of his places. Then when he was trying to hook up with Enid, sorta, but Enid had that other sort of boyfriend that ended up going crazy, and his whole family got slaughtered, just like in the comics, by the way. But yeah, so like it was an important place to him. But you know, obviously Michonne, not only Michonne, but just Denai, the actress, like she seems to be the most, like, you know, in. The most emotional over Carl / Chandler Riggs.
At this moment, absolutely. I know Rick's definitely like holding a lot back right now for various reasons. We'll get to that.
And I'm so glad as a fan too.
But Michonne, she is holding or not. She's letting it all go. I mean, she lost a best friend and somewhat of like a replacement for not only her child that she had children or child, one child or two children.
Well, in the comics, I think she had a couple. I know there's a daughter that's still alive somewhere out there in the current comics.
Right,
but,
okay, that's okay.
But it seemed, watching past episodes, that she had a baby or something, but it could have been just a nightmare she had. So
right. So either way, it's kind of like filling that void. Now she got that family, so it's like her best friend, but also like her son. You know, he can look up to her as a best friend, but also like another mother figure too.
Yeah.
And well, not anymore, obviously, but it's just that connection is very deep between those two.
When I see the handprints of Judith and Carl, that kind of set her off, and I think that's why she went to the van and grabbed those fire extinguishers and tried to put out the gazebo. But it was entertaining because you knew that she wasn't going to bite the dust around those walkers. She was like, all right, fine. After Rick's like, come on, we got to go. She just started slicing and dicing. And
she's like, fuck.
That was a nice way to open the episode.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
They drove away and contemplated what Carl really wants. And that's when they discovered that, you know, he wrote a letter to Negan as well, which we saw that coming. And I paused it, by the way. I didn't tell you this. I paused it, and I kind of read as much as I could, you know, of the letter to Negan, and it was just the same bullshit. It wasn't anything
right.
too personal. It was like, I don't know if you're alive or my dad's alive when you read this, or if you even get to read this. My dad might have killed you by now, but I want you guys to do everything. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. No, not gonna happen. Rick's got to fucking slice and dice and get some shit done, because you know what? Part of grieving, one of the stages is anger, and I hope that anger at least propels Rick to getting something accomplished other than trying to make a peace treaty with the guy. And that was pretty evident when he talked to Negan on the walkie-talkie. We'll get to that a little bit later, but how it's like, it's too late for that,
Well, even like when Rick got that note, and especially when he found out Negan, Michonne was like asking, you want to read your note, and he's like, not yet. So
that's
it's
good.
Not the time.
That's good. I mean, just thinking, not even for the writing for the show, just in general, if you were in Rick's place, like, that's not the time to read that, because that could possibly like break everything down in your body that's whatever's left over, that is.
Right.
And he needs that whatever leftover strength he has to carry on this mission that they planned out.
Right.
With a few pitfalls. Daryl. I mean, that dude,
fucking Daryl.
Remember, I just realized he was the one back at the prison who was licking his fingers and touching the pork. He was spreading that pork disease. And they all got fevers and died. Daryl did that. So this fucking character that was made up for the show, which we love.
Is that what the twist is going to be? And Daryl's going to be the ultimate villain?
Like, I think by default, not by on purpose, not because he wants to be, but because, just circumstantial stuff. Like, he accidentally poisoned everyone at the prison. He, bashed through Negan's freaking side garage wall, and that, I'm sure, helped, disperse the walkers. He let Meth
get captured and then eventually killed.
Yeah, well,
God, Daryl, I just fun. Yeah, we're not gonna get into all that shit.
Yeah. But he doesn't get too much FaceTime or lines, so we might as well talk about him a little bit. And that was that. Right. Negan's talk with Simon, though, that was pretty badass. Some good lines in there.
I enjoyed that. That shows more of the side of Negan, because he always likes to pull some bullshit and try to play like Mr. Funny Guy here and there, but when you actually get to see him in the serious, like, I'm the fucking boss role, that's when you're like, okay, this is a Negan that's taking control here, and he's gonna make sure Simon's not gonna get out of control.
That must be the Negan that took over when he described to Gabriel and stuff, like, or someone else, the guy that used to be in charge of that power plant where the Savior's headquarters are. Like, that guy was letting people run all over him, this and that. I was like, I'm sure when he ruled with an iron fist a la Lucille, the baseball bat, that changed everything, and there was more of that than anything else. Another thing is about Negan, and about how you see like the comedy part, then you see the serious part, kind of a blend. The fact that, in the comic and on the show, he's against sex crimes altogether. He doesn't rape is not what they do and all that. But when you think about it, he's got this harem of chicks, and he's basically like just plucking them one at a time whenever he wants to use them. I'm like, obviously, no matter what they're saying that sounds consensual, it's not. They're doing it because they don't want their boyfriends or husbands that are probably still serving the Saviors not to get hurt or killed. Right. So it kind of is rape. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely what's the word I'm looking for here? Hypocrite. He's definitely a little hypocrite when it comes to those actions.
I mean, obviously, he's not beating anyone or lifting a finger on the girls.
Right. But in terms of like, he's on that fence of what he's doing is right and what's wrong.
His confidence in Gavin. I think like Gavin was the guy that died via stabbing through the back of the neck by Henry the Kid. But Gavin was brought up one more time. Simon's like, have you heard from Gavin? He goes, no, but I'm waiting. It's coming soon.
Yeah, that's great.
He says, Gavin may be perpetually pissed off, but he keeps dry and tight.
Dry and tight.
And that's kind of like a perfect like explanation of that Gavin character in a nutshell. He is always like uptight. Yeah. And he's always like,
real
I don't
dry
want to do this, but this and that. And some fans think, he's the only lieutenant that has some sort of remorse, but really that's just part of his personality. I'm not sure if it's remorse. I'm sure there was some at the end there when he was talking to Ezekiel after so many people got wiped out. So there was some sort of like, truth behind his feelings there. But okay, Gavin's gone. Simon's got to be next. Yeah. How soon, I don't know, but...
Simon, man, he's really stepping on Negan's toes with this situation, man, because he's coming in there even a little hot-headed into this meeting with Negan already.
Yes.
And then he's already now at this point, especially when they ended up he gets a knock on a door during their meeting, and it's the other lieutenant bringing in, and those other guys bringing in the bargain box.
Oh yeah,
Maggie brought in.
Maggie's bargain box,
and that changes the dynamic even more so because now at this point, after Negan's already said, we're not going to be killing these trash people. We're going to be, he had said at that point already you can only kill one. And Simon's kind of like, okay. But then after he saw the bargain box, that's when Simon's like, no, this can't fucking go on. Yeah. We got to take him out.
He saw who was in the box, zombified, and he was like, that's so-and-so from the satellite outpost. I'm killing them all. I'm killing all the farmers at Hilltop. I'm killing them. Then he's like, no, what do you want me to do? You sit down. He goes, go to the trash people. Kill one only. Set the tone. Do the same normal thing that I always do.
The standard.
You could tell how he was like telling Negan, like, it's not working anymore. We should move out and save some other communities like further out.
Right.
And Negan was like, I'm trying to hold my shit together right now. And I thought maybe he was going to hit him with the bat.
Especially when after Simon tried to peg him again with the whole, and I think that's Simon Pegg. Isn't that a actor's name? I think that's the actor who plays Simon. His name's Simon in real life, isn't it?
I don't think so.
No, maybe I'm getting that confused. Either way, when Simon, at that point, he's saying, after he saw who's in the box, he's like, we got to go kill him now. That's when Negan really throws it down. Like you said, he almost hit him with the bat. He hits it on the table, and he's like, no, fucking goddamn it. This is what I said. This is what we're doing. Like, this is final. And, at that point, the audience is left to think, is Simon going to play by the rules now and be a good boy or not?
During that conversation, God damn, I keep bringing up Carl. It's going to sit with me the rest of season 8. But even little one-liners before Negan found out what happened to Carl, he was telling Simon, like, Rick's one-eyed pride and joy played me. That kid is built for this shit.
Oh, right.
And it's
I love that line.
I love it so much, and it pisses me off so much because it's like, yeah, exactly. And now we're not going to have that.
Right.
Like the interactions between Negan and Carl in the future, and Carl's leadership in the future, and all the different things, his relationships.
Right.
Over and out. What else here? Yep. Discussed that. Oceanside.
Yeah, so and what was okay, real quick before we move on, what I really liked about this episode, and why this goes back to the whole letters that Carl wrote to everybody. They broke down this episode the way it was directed to where each scene would come back and it had just somebody's name titled, and it was basically it was a scene about that person and what the letter had to do with them in that particular scene. So right now when we're going back to Enid and the Oceanside, they say that they say it on the screen, Eden. They say her name,
Right.
When it was Simon's turn, I think that's coming up after Enid's part. It says Simon on the screen. So, and I thought that was a cool way of kind of directing the episode.
That was fine. At first, when they threw up the first name up there, like Michonne or whatever,
right.
It's like, okay, does this mean it's going to be like one of those half and half episodes, or is this going to be mean something's going to happen towards then once they put everyone's name at one after the other, you're like, okay, that's just the style that this director is going with, and that's fine, and I liked it.
Right.
So speaking of Simon, their other leader was Arat. I found out. I'm not sure if that's the Mohawk girl or not. So she's off doing some stuff for Negan. Meanwhile, Simon's sent to the scavengers dump, and Simon was predicted to die by us, or by me at least. Or he was going to kill all the scavengers.
I thought he was going to get killed this episode, for sure.
And when you brought up to me about Jadis crying in the season preview sneak peek,
right?
I totally was in our last episode of Walker Talker saying, that must mean she's the only one left of her kind, of her people. And sure enough, that's what happened. And the blue paint on the shoe of both Rick and the blue paint on the shoe of Simon has got to be the pure evidence that's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. In other words, the bat that broke Simon's back. Because Negan's probably going to be there's the proof somehow, or someone else is going to know, but that blue paint might be just a one-episode thing, or do you think it's going to carry on?
I think it is going to carry on. You know, what Simon did, that whole scene, you know, they say when it comes to film, movies, TV, every scene counts, right? It means for something. Well, that definitely does. It's going to come back around because that whole scene with Simon, how he goes into outrage mode, and you know, he's playing that very kind of on the edge, kind of passive aggressive attitude with her the whole time, and then out of nowhere, he's like, okay, here's the one, and he takes the old man. And that's like, we don't necessarily know the connection with her and the old man, but we would assume that they had a connection before the apocalypse, because it seems pretty deep. But even he's went to their simple talk and all this way of life. But so that seemed like it affected her right away. And then he proceeded to kill some others, and then just, I think at that point those strings just broke, and he just was like, he was bloodthirsty. He's like, fuck it, I'm doing it now. I'm getting it over with. Fuck what Negan says. I'm clearing them, you know? He's going into clear mode. And that rocked her fucking world.
Everyone has their point. Well, it rocked her world that the first shot to the old guy was bad enough, but when her main girl, right-hand girl, whatever, got shot, that's when she totally was breaking down. I was like, okay, well...
I mean, she even hit his ass, dude.
Yeah. And I think there was a similar thing in the past with Simon where he got either, you know, upstaged by words or by violence, and he was about to revolt and do something bad, and someone stopped him. But in this case, not going to happen. Light him up, fellas! Light him up now! And they just shot him all dead. And he even told Negan before he left, he was like, we might have a little less ammo, but I think it's good to, you know,
right, and then
clean up all the mess and all that.
And then he ended up wasting it. And then he goes back, and Negan's waiting for his ass, and he fucking plays it tries to play it like a cool cat, wiping the sweat off his brow, like, oh no, went fine, everything went cool. And Negan's like, yeah, motherfucker.
What a great actor, though, that Simon guy. Like, when he was just driving the truck back into the headquarters, like, the nervous look in his face. Only some actors can pull that off with just, you know, their eyes.
Right, and, exactly.
But Jadis meat grinds her zombified people. Is she now set to become alpha? She talked a lot to Rick about it all, and
maybe she'll go take a little cannonball or a little dive into that meat pile before she steps out into the world. She's like, here we go, and she just wants to be covered in her people.
If anyone watching this knows, production-wise, like what do you think that was made out of? Go ahead and go in the comment section and let us know what you think. And the best ideas that you guys have, we'll talk about it next week.
Right.
What else here?
So moving on past her now. She's done for.
Well, Jadis did have one line that I have to end with about her. She said, you know, create and become something new. We did this. It was our world apart from everything else. And
I did like that.
And it's kind of like, that's true. And it's solid. I understand that she obviously was an artist that used to visit the dump for stuff to do art with. But the fact that she said that about her group sounded to me a lot like something Alpha would say. But, you know, the helipad...
right.
Okay, we can't completely.
Okay, I forgot about that. I'm glad
Simon
you brought that
says,
up.
what's with the...
Yeah, the helipad and the solar panels.
Right.
So why the fuck... Okay, she says she's visited this place before, so that also leads me to believe... Now, she means that place. Does that mean it was a dump before? Did they bring that to cover up what the helipad and solar panels is really hiding? There's some kind of more of a connection there, too.
She did a good job of telling Simon, well, it's a dump. That's why, you know.
Right. So, and he's like, so I think something else is definitely going on with that. That could definitely tie in to not only possible connections with the comic book, but also the other show, Fear the Walking Dead.
Basically, though, he saw a helipad and solar panels, but he didn't see a helicopter. So none of the saviors have seen this helicopter. So who's driving the helicopter? It's not Jadis.
Oh yeah, and even Rick saw the helicopter, right?
The helicopter, we're thinking Commonwealth. We won't really go there. Helicopter, we're thinking, well, if Morgan is going to be going all the way to Texas to be with the Fear folk, maybe he jumped on a helicopter and maybe Jadis was flying it. Who knows?
Maybe Jadis and Morgan shack up.
Maybe Jadis becomes Alpha, but over in Texas instead of in Virginia. Maybe Jadis becomes Alpha in Texas and moves into the Commonwealth, Ohio area, and everything merges in one big episode 10 because there's no more Maggie.
Oh, wow. And we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Maybe on like a we digress kind of podcast about just everything. We'll get to that one day.
Exactly.
But last bit of the episode here.
Walkie-talkie chat.
We got the walkie-talkie chat, which, I think it really needed to be done because once Rick was finally ready to kind of sit down, so to speak, and look at the letters, he actually went to fucking Negan's first.
Yeah.
Like almost jealous. He went to Negan's and like real quick, and then as soon as he read it, he immediately got on the talkie.
I was just talking to Rick in my head, like, don't read yours last. Like, read. Go ahead, read. I would do it too if I were him.
Negan's first.
I would read that one first.
Yeah, I think so too. Because ultimately, it could be more fire for you.
Yeah, and plus, you don't know. Rick doesn't know everything that happened while Rick was in the sanctuary. You know how he had to do the song and dance. He met all the horrors and stuff and whatnot. Like maybe there's something else in there that he needs to know, and there really wasn't. Like I said, I paused it, I read it, but some of the best lines. Every episode has some great lines, and this one, Rick, he's basically, Negan was like, "You set the course, Rick. Who is next? What loved one of yours is gonna die next?" He's blaming all of Carl's death on to Rick, and the fact that Negan was like, whoa, he had to sit back.
Right, it really affected him.
He was very affected by it. Mm-hmm. He looked at Carl as like the person that was going to take over his spot in the future.
Right.
And he saw I don't necessarily saw a lot of him in Carl.
But definitely a lot of
potential.
He
saw the potential, and he saw he's built for this world. And he grew up right on time,
Dude, yeah.
So he knows what's up. But Rick says... He's like, it's something about like, who's gonna die next, Rick? About which loved one of yours will die next, Rick? He's like, you are. And the fact that like he's so sweaty anger. And like halfway about to cry, bloodshot eyes, and my God, Andy Lincoln, that's like some of the best stuff right there.
Oh, dude,
it doesn't matter, I'm gonna kill you.
Just like he kept that promise, man.
Because he's like, you know what, like. Carl wants us to do this. Carl wants us to have peace. We want to work together, live together, all this great stuff. But he still ends with, "But I'm gonna kill you." It's past that point.
I love it. It keeps that fire burning, and keeps our fucking souls a yearning for the next episode. And What do we predict for this episode 1-1?
Well, as far as the sneak peek teasers for episode 1-1, we did see Gabriel in the forest walking with Dr. Carson, but not with Eugene. Maybe Eugene was behind, or maybe he decided to stay back. The show is not identical to the comic, obviously, but like I said, some of the main things that happen, like when shit really breaks down, no matter who's doing the killing or the kissing or the quotes, it usually does. The seasons end almost exactly how.
Yeah, like certain kind of points in the timeline. Yeah. We even thought we discussed, is Eugene gonna come with them or not? So we'll see.
Alexandra group takes the most unlikely route to dodge the Saviors, so they go through the swamp filled with walkers. Not whispers, though, because we got a little something online recently that Fear the Walking Dead is going to open up with like some sort of a pit or a silo filled with water, and some of the main characters are stuck in there with obviously whispers. You can see their hands are normal, and you can see their eye holes and all that. So they're going to introduce the whispers in Fear, but remember, it's a jump forward, so both shows are going to be kind of side by side.
They're going to collide soon
and they're going to collide sooner than later. So maybe the whispers will only be in Fear, maybe they'll be in Fear then move over to Walking Dead, or maybe it's going to be like once all the contracts and stuff are signed and are not signed, they might have no choice but to just converge it all. Mm-hmm. Although I'm sure that's their big picture, what they want to do.
Is that Dwight leading them to the swamp too?
Dwight is, yeah. And there's a point in there where I think what's her name here, Tara, threatens to kill Dwight, and I don't think that's going to happen. They need him too badly to get out the group from point A to point B. And
then they find a Heath zombie.
But remember, he was the one that tried to kill Daryl, and he wasn't very good with the crossbow at the time, and it ended up going right through the eye socket of Denise. And Denise was the lover of Tara, so she has resentment for sure. Well, Maggie seems to be holding her ground as badass warden of the Hilltop prisoners, but still does not look like she's holding any water. Because she does not look pregnant at all.
I know it's the apocalypse, and they wouldn't be showing much because they don't have much food and stuff. But yeah, something you would think, unless
or someone has to say something like get it out of the way. But I guess this episode we're gonna know because if Dr. Carson's coming for her,
right? I think
then he can update the audience.
What
right?
I'm thinking, and this is my prediction, I'm thinking the baby is gone.
Yeah, like she miscarried.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that happened. I think because remember it was a couple seasons back. When they were still trying to find Negan and saviors, she was getting beat up and stuff by some of those saviors.
Exactly. And if that didn't do it, then maybe by the last episode of season 8 here, she might get punched or fall down some steps or something might happen and she has a miscarriage there. But it's almost as if the showrunners and stuff projected what was going to happen with Laura Cohen's contract dispute because she doesn't look pregnant. Or maybe they all had it all in mind that, she's not going to have a kid. We're just not going to go that route like the book because there's so many other things that are different with her.
Right, other than Judith
other than being the leader of Hilltop, a lot of things are different for Maggie's character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Eugene is making bullets in the previews. Or is he making pills? I don't know. I'm sure it's bullets.
Or pills. He's pressing pills.
And then there's walkers on a fence, like just 3 of them. And Negan's like in front of the walkers, like showing his men, like, this is what you're going to do, blah, 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 like giving a speech. Obviously, this is the one prediction that I would like to make, and that is my only foolproof prediction. That's where Negan, just like the comic, is going to tell his men, take your knives, take your weapons, even your guns, and just slather all that walker guts.
Butter it up.
Buttered up. Too bad he didn't know that Jadis already made a bunch of walker butter. All that sludge, that would have been easier. Just dip it in the sludge. But, in the comic, he's like, there's not as many of us, there's not as many bullets, so let's try to save our bullets and slice and dice and then run for the hills, and they'll just get fevers and die.
Right.
So that's his master plan besides waiting for Eugene to make more bullets. But
all right. So, here's a good question for you, Peter, and as well as you guys at home. Who's getting the most kills this episode? Walker kills, human kills.
Oh, Daryl.
Daryl?
Yeah, I'm not going to think about it too hard just because we haven't seen enough of Daryl. We know he's going to go through the swamp. We know that someone's going to get bit or hurt or practically dead on that trip.
That's okay. Let's do this. We'll do 3 people. I thought I saw Rosita doing some damage this episode.
Yeah.
In the previews. So, we'll put a poll, some kind of poll. I don't know how to do polls quite yet, but you guys just go ahead and type down below what you think he's getting the most kills. Daryl, Dwight, or Rosita.
And if you already started watching the episode, which went live maybe within a few minutes from where we started, pause it and then put your comment in there. Don't cheat.
Right. And so we're looking forward to checking out episode 11 of season 8B of The Walking Dead, and I hope you guys are too. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Walker Talkers, brought to you by PanNerdia, and we hope to see you guys next week on our next episode covering episode 12.
Yes. Do I look like Morpheus if I put this on my nose?
Yes. Neo.
Episode 1-1. Enjoy the enjoyment. Enjoy the episode. Pre-game with us again next week for episode 12 and a review of episode 11. Until then,
Walker Talkers.
Walker Talkers.
Walker Talkers. Walker Talkers. Peace, guys.